For the next part of this project, we're now going to create the walls. Now I've already added a new instances layer into our main room, room 1. So I'm going to right click on that, I'm going to rename and call it walls. Now the next thing we're going to do is create the walls object. So we're going to right click on the object, go to create and click on object. And this time we're going to call this O wall. And we're going to bind the sprite together. Now we're going to make this a solid object. This isn't the best way of making the walls, but it's a very quick way, and we can look at doing something else later on in our videos. So what we're going to do now is close this. We're then going to open room 1 and make sure we're on the walls layer, and we're going to then start building our walls. So to do this, I'm going to click, hold down with the mouse, drag and drop. And what you'll notice now is the walls are available for you to move around. Now this is the only time that I would say it's okay to move an object and to resize an object like I'm showing you. And the reason for that is we need to make the walls and we need to make the perimeter around the outside to stop the player moving and leaving the actual room. Now as you can see, I've made the outer wall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy one of the wall, going using Control C, and then I'm going to do Control V to paste. And I'm going to make then a number of smaller vertical walls, and then we're going to use the same method. I'm going to copy and paste to make some horizontal walls. Now you've already should have planned out your design from earlier, and that should be in your pupil booklet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy and paste this a number of times, and then this will allow me to start building up the walls in my maze. Don't forget, when you are doing this, you can resize, but you also need to make sure that there's enough room to move around. Now if you look at this example here, I typically advise people to leave around about 3 blocks around, and the reason for that is when your player is moving, you need to try to make sure that there's enough room to move around. There are instances where you can just leave 2, but your player might get stuck. So my advice is to try to leave around 3 blocks, so that will allow you then to allow the player to move freely. So your next task is to build your maze up using a variety of different blocks that you've just made, and then we'll look at coding the player to allow it to not go through the walls.